Hello, my adult roles and responsibilities students. This is October 30th. Thus, this video is for the week of October 30th. Let's see what we did in the class this week. So we only met Monday and Wednesday. So what we did was on Mondays we finished up our safe dating discussion. I believe where we left off was here. Nope. Sorry, it was right about here. Right, where at the beginning of Monday I had the students write in their journal just kind of what their own dating values are. Kind of going back to this idea where if you don't know what your own values are in regards to dating, then you don't know where to draw the line. You don't know how to hold your date accountable to your standards. Because if you don't have any standards, then you can't hold them accountable to them. And then we went through this website, which I'm not sure if it would be blocked for you, so we can just kind of go through it together really quick. But basically, this website is obviously targeted towards women, but there's a lot to be learned here for men as well. For women, good safety tips in here because, again, the vast majority of people who are sexually assaulted or the vast majority of dates who get date raped or, taken advantage of are women. And so for you gentlemen, that means that one of the primary things that you can learn here in this discussion is how can you best respect the boundaries of other women or of women and your dates and other people that you're with. Because, gentlemen, you don't live in the same world that these girls do. These girls live in a world where they have a 25% chance of becoming a victim of sexual aggression by the time they're 40. But you don't. Like, what are the odds of that happening to you? Virtually zero. So they live in a very, very different world than you. And so one of the best things that you can do as a young man is to learn how to appreciate, respect, and seek consent from women before engaging in any sort of sexual behavior or sexual advantage or advance or anything like that. So keep your loved ones in the loop. What this means is that before you go on a date with a stranger, or whether it's a first, second, third, even fourth date with somebody, right, before you've really gotten to know who they are, you should always keep someone else in the loop. You should always let somebody know who you're going out with, where you're going, and when you should be back. And I know we look forward to adulthood a lot to try to avoid having to do that stuff. Yes, Mom, I'll be back by 12:30 or whatever, right? We don't want to have to do that as an adult, but you have to remember, especially for you girls, that it's one of those very easy, completely cheap, as in free, but very healthy and important things for you to do to stay safe. As you're leaving your apartment, tell your roommates where you're going. Just, hey, just let you know I'm going out with that guy I met on Tinder the other day. We're going to go catch a movie and should be back around midnight. His name was Brad or whatever, right? So that if you don't come back, authorities have somewhere to go to try to track you down, right? And then, of course, you can always let your date know that other people know. And then that might reduce the risk of them trying to take advantage of you because they know that people know who you're with and kind of thing. So I'm sorry that this is the world that you girls live in, but this is the world that you girls live in. And there are certain safety tips that you should take. And again, gentlemen, this is not the world that you live in as far as being the victim, but this is the world you live in as far as being the one that girls are afraid of. You have to understand, gentlemen, that if you are walking across campus, your college campus at night, and you see a girl walking also, you're going to probably look at her and go, oh, hey, she's cute. I wonder what she's up doing. Wonder what she's doing up this late at night or whatever. She might very well be looking at you going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, is he going to attack me? Gentlemen, you don't know what it's like to be a girl. I'm going to say that a few more times because you don't know. And part of this purpose of this conversation is to help kind of open your eyes up to that. Another safety thing you can do is provide your own transportation, right? If you let your date pick you up, and this goes for both males and females, right? If you let your date pick you up and it turns out to be a sucky date, you have no escape, right? So for the first few times that you're getting to know this person, it's wise to meet them at the place. If they want to take you bowling, meet them at the bowling alley. If they want to take you to a movie, meet them at the movies, that kind of thing. Meet in a safe environment. This means meet somewhere. Really what this translates to is meet somewhere where there's a camera. What I'm talking about is like go to decide to meet at the campus cafeteria. There are security cameras in the building. They'll see you in there. And true bad guys, true predators who are seeking for easy victims will know that. They'll notice that. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want to be seen with you in public. They just want an easy prey. And so having public footage like that is a good idea. Also, this means don't meet and don't go on dates where there's no cell phone service and where people might not know where to look for you, right? Like if you're on a blind date with somebody and they're like, hey, let's go up the canyon and watch the sunset. There's no cell phone reception up the canyon, and I'm going to be up in the mountains at dark. You probably shouldn't do that with a stranger, right? So that's there. Don't leave your food or drink unattended. Of course, what we're talking about here are date rape drugs, Rohypnol, sometimes called roofies, right? Girls, this is one that's primarily directed at young women. And if you need to use the bathroom or something, and you're at a restaurant or at a bar or a club or something like that, have a friend watch your stuff for you. Now, if you're there by yourself and you don't have any friends, either don't leave or take your drink with you, but if they don't let you take your drink with you or you don't want to be weird about it, you can actually ask the server, right? You can kind of go up to the server and say, hey, I'm on a blind date with that guy over there. I know he's cute, but I've never met him before. Will you just watch my drink and make sure he doesn't put anything in it? And any girl who isn't a complete selfish narcissist is going to be like, oh yeah, girl, I got your back, right? Any girl will understand. And if they don't understand, they probably grew up in small town Utah and they never had any idea that this is the world that is real, right? A lot of you girls might be thinking that I'm being paranoid. You've grown up in a sheltered little bubble down here. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be a victim. It just means you're less likely to. But if you decide to go to a bigger city for college, right? If you go to University of Utah or any major city with a college or university in it, and you're going clubbing or anything like that, this is the world you live in. Now, I have heard for you girls, I have heard of a particular type of nail polish. I can't tell you the brand. I have no idea. But I have heard that they make nail polish that chemically reacts to Rohypnol and other date rape drugs. So what you could do is you put that nail polish on before the night, right? And then when you come back from the bathroom or whatever, you can kind of swirl, just kind of put your finger in your drink and swirl your drink with your finger, just kind of, as you're chatting. And if your fingernail polish changes color, then you'll know this guy's an absolute loser and you should just walk away right there, right? Or, yeah. So those are there. Limit alcohol consumption. There's no question, there's absolutely zero argument against the reality that alcohol consumption, as well as other drugs, inhibits your ability to make logical and reasonable decision making. If you're on the other end of this camera going, no, it doesn't do that for me, then you're an absolute idiot. No offense intended, but you don't know anything. The science is overwhelming. Find me one article out there that says it doesn't affect you, and I might listen to you. So we know scientifically, without a doubt, factually, that alcohol and other drugs inhibit our ability to make logical decisions. So why, if you're on a blind date with a stranger or a second or third date with this person that you don't really know or trust very well, why would you intentionally engage in behavior that limits your ability to make logical decisions, right? And to be aware of your surroundings and have that intuitive instinct that we're all born with. Why would you do that, right? So I'm not saying don't drink alcohol, even though that is the smartest choice. I'm saying limit it. Be careful with it. Take it easy, right? If you are a regular consumer of alcohol, you know what your limits are. Don't go over those limits. You want to be able to be aware of what's going on in your world. Don't give out your personal information like your address or anything like that. So my wife and I actually met as a blind date from the internet. My wife and I met online, And our first date was a complete blind date, never having met each other. So she had no idea who I was, right? I could have been anybody. She had seen my picture, sure, but that doesn't say anything about my personality, right? I could have been a dangerous creep. Who knows? So what she did was she told me to pick her up, which, again, I would recommend not doing that part. But she told me to pick her up at this address, but it wasn't her address. That address was her friend's address. And that was really smart, because that would mean that if I was a complete creep, I don't know where she lives. So that's not a bad idea. You could even say, pick me up at the park. I'll be there with friends. Then they have really no idea where you live, right? And again, if you drive and meet them there, same thing. Group dates are a great idea for blind dates, right? And for the first couple dates as you're getting to know this person, because again, bad guys want to be alone with you. They don't want to do things in groups. Carry some form of protection. Now, we're not necessarily talking about guns here, and we're definitely not talking about contraceptives. We're talking about physical protection. There's a spectrum of physical protection, all the way from not being prepared in whatsoever in any way to I carry around a gun. There's a spectrum in there. There's plenty of room. You could train your body and make your body the weapon. Karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, judo. There's all sorts of martial arts out there that turn your body into the weapon, so that if somebody were to try to take advantage of you or get into some kind of dangerous situation, you can defend yourself. There are tools you can use, like pepper spray, right? Or a knife, right? Just like a simple little pocket knife. Or making sure that it's actually sharp, right? Or a bonk stick is what my brother-in-law calls it. They're these little iron batons. They're about this big. They fit in your pocket, much like a pocket knife does. But they telescope, which means that they extend out, right? And so you can just pull that out of your purse or out of your bag and just whoosh, and you just whip it out, and it turns into this 2-foot-long iron rod that you can bonk them with, right, if you have to. So there are things you can do besides a gun, right? And you can't carry a gun, in Utah at least, without a concealed carry permit. And I think you have to be 21. I'm not sure about that part. And if you are going to carry a gun, you absolutely have to have training. Not only how to shoot it, but to how to handle it and store it. A lot of people in this country, police officers included, a lot of people in this country are killed by their own guns. I've seen video footage of it. It was very disturbing, but I watched a video on YouTube of a guy who was getting attacked, and so he pulled out his gun, but before he could get the gun on target to defend himself, the guy saw the gun, grabbed it, took it, and shot him in the head with it. So if you are going to carry any sort of weapon, make sure you're trained on that weapon and you know what you're doing, right? Anything is better than fingernails. Anything is better than fingernails, right? So make sure that you are prepared to protect yourself in some manner or other, right? And then, yeah, basically 9 and 10 I don't really talk that much about. So I wanted to definitely go through those with you, as those are very important. Let's see, what else do I want to focus on here? You know what, honestly, that was really it. I wouldn't say that discussion and then this video right here towards the end called Science of Attraction. That is also really good, worth watching. Those are the two main elements of this discussion that we had on Monday. Now, moving on to Wednesday, we talked about refusal skills. Refusal skills is the art of saying no, okay? And we went through a lot of data here, and we spent a lot of time talking about refusing high-risk situations. And a high-risk situation is any situation that increases the risk of you doing something dangerous or foolish or having something bad happen to you, right? So like drinking and driving, that's a high-risk behavior. Something bad could really happen to you, or something bad could really happen to someone else. Another high-risk behavior is sexual intercourse as a minor. Very high-risk behavior. Unprotected sex is a high-risk behavior, at least outside of marriage. Drug consumption is high-risk behavior. Vandalism and other crimes are high-risk behaviors. So all of these things, right? And as you go out into the world, especially into college, you are going to be peer pressured to engage in high-risk behaviors, whether it's sex or vandalism or hazing or drunk, getting plastered or whatever it is, right? So we wanted to try to teach you how to say no. What is the correct way to say no? Now, ultimately, you need to decide if this is something you want to turn down, right? That's on you and your value system. But what I'm trying to prepare you for is if there is a situation that you don't want to engage in, but you're not sure how to say no, that's what this discussion is for. And so we do spend some time talking about statistics as far as sexual activity. We can kind of skip through all that. Well, one thing I actually did want to really get into was this part right here. There are two elements that you have to be aware of when it comes to saying no. First thing you have to be aware of is what are your limits, right? That's the whole knowing your values from the safe dating practice, safe dating discussion we just had a second ago, answering these questions, right? And the second one is preparing yourself mentally, physically, and practically. Mental preparation means that you are running through these scenarios in your mind. What am I going to do if at the end of the night, my date tries to kind of force their way into my apartment? What am I going to do if I'm part of a group of guys and they all start getting hyped about doing this aggressive or dangerous or stupid or illegal thing? How am I going to refuse that, right? So mental preparation is just thinking things through, okay? So one example for me is that so I was a teacher, right? I am here and I'm in charge of these students during the time that I have them. And what happens if an active shooter comes into the building? That is something that I've thought a lot about. I don't just sit here going, oh, gee, I hope that doesn't happen. I think about it. If I hear the gunshot, if I hear the intercom go off saying lockdown, what are my actions? What am I going to do? And I play it through in my mind. That's mental preparation. Physical preparation is, as we talked about with the safe dating thing, knowing how to protect yourself, getting strong, wearing shoes that you can run in, having nails that aren't going to break if you try to claw, like whatever, right? That's physical preparation. And then practical preparation is much more of what we talk about in this video or in this discussion, which is all about trying to keep yourself out of dangerous situations in the first place. So like if you're visiting, like if you're at a different city, if you're in a different town that you're not familiar with and you're going clubbing with friends, maybe you shouldn't be taking the ecstasy pills that are there. Maybe you shouldn't be drinking a lot of alcohol, because if you lose the ability to think logically, you're going to be lost in a city at night. You don't know where you are. That makes you easy prey. And whether you're a guy or a girl, right? Now, girls, you're much more likely to become a sexual victim. Guys are much more likely to get the crap beaten out of you and robbed and, whatever. But either way, bad things can happen. So practical preparation is all about avoiding dangerous situations. And that's what we talk about a lot here in these slides. And then right about down here is where we actually get into the various techniques. And you can go through those on your own. They're pretty self-explanatory, just 4 slides here on certain techniques for how to say no, right? Making sure that your body, if I were to ask you, what does no look like? You know how to position your body. Well, that's how you need to say no to others. Respond rapidly, don't hem and haw, use eye contact, be assertive and clear, so forth and so on. So go through those, and as you read through those 4 slides and look at those 8 different tactics that I gave you, mentally prepare with them. Think about different ways that you can execute them in certain situations. That's going to be your mental preparation. Okay, that concludes our discussions for this week, and I hope you guys have a nice Halloween, and I'll see you next week.